Hi, Kendrick. What's the matter, Erica? Erika?
No, I'm just enjoying your impersonation.
Okay. Listen, good evening to Kendrick Williams, who is our engineer at Feels Live, and to Erika Wells Cooks, who is the guest co-host, and Candelaria Thompson, without a P. I'm putting it P. I'm just doing things. It's 5:30 in the day. You got to find a way to tickle your fancy.
It's Christmas week.
And no one tickling it for you. Tickle it yourself, huh?
Next week is Christmas week.
And it doesn't matter.
Right. Okay. Well, it's...
I had a very somber, I don't know if it's somber is the word, kind of negative, that's the only way to say it, negative thing to think of, to say on the radio as I was approaching. It was raining. And I thought to myself, I wish it rained all damn Christmas. But I thought, you know what? Don't say that. That's negative. No, I didn't say it. I said that's what I thought I was going to say.
Okay.
I'm not saying it.
But you put it out there.
You're right.
I've not put it out there. I said that's what I thought to say. I did not say it.
What changed your mind?
Because I thought y'all would criticize me, and I didn't want to be criticized.
Right. I remember having this conversation last year, and you are not a huge fan of Christmas, Ed.
Oh, no, we had this conversation last week. You're losing your mind. Okay?
That could be
Before
true.
we could do that, babe, by the way, let me do this officially. And I'll give you a hug afterwards to say condolences to you and to John Edward Cox and to Story and Shelter and Georgie and all of the other associates, peoples, on the passing of my good friend, Satella. You don't know, me and Satella was close, you know.
I know. Thank you, Ed. I appreciate it. We appreciate it.
Yeah, that was my girl,
I
man.
know the ham connection well.
Well, she and I we had cause to be, I mean, I've always known, actually, I knew Satella long ago when I was a kid. Because I'll never forget when I went to QC, a friend of mine, Delary Simonet, I had to get a ride home one day. And Delary's mother, or someone, picked us up. And we went to this house that was not then completed. I mean, it was completed, but the yard wasn't completed. It was like quarry and stuff.
Right.
And I was like, wow. You know, and then it wasn't until, jump ahead 20 years or whatever, I realized this was the house. I was writing a post on the thing. I was going to say, one of the greatest, having the ham on one of the greatest porches known to mankind.
Yes.
And it's like, 3 levels of porches or something like?
3 levels of porches.
It's like a McDonald's.
Yeah,
a
it's
triple decker.
Fabulous house.
Yeah,
Mid-century modern.
Yeah, and it's Giorgio. That's my name for George. Designed this thing, and it's got to be one of the best ever. In terms of the whole. It's a great house, and so one Christmas, and it was funny because it was one of the coldest Christmases I can recall. It was like 40 degrees. You were there. You had to be there because I always saw you. That's how I first really got to know you. Who's this gal? Who this red gal is? Anyway, so the spread.
Oh yeah.
And
the
spread, man, like out of some kind of magazine spread, and the ham.
Yeah.
And that ham, man, I ate must about 30 pieces of that ham with some bread and some piccalilli.
It's the best ham.
Right. And of course, I made statements of that on 100 Gems when I was there, and then every Christmas I got a ham. So there. So I said in a post, these posts kind of thing, I get it. I try not to be, but I said, I will cook a ham myself in honor of Satella. I'm not going to be giving that ham every year to anyone, but I'm going to do it this year. So anyway, my condolences, and she had a good life. We had a good time on a cruise together once. Did you know that?
I did. I've heard about this.
In Sweden. See, we don't go on no cruise, no Caribbean cruise. We went to Sweden.
And it was
Sweden.
It wasn't a regular cruise.
It was yacht.
It was
It was a yacht. Okay.
It was how one should cruise.
It was only like about 6 people on this yacht. Okay.
With personal chefs and.
Listen, let me tell you about this thing, man. The biggest challenge was when I'd get up in the morning, is to dirty up some clothes, because by the time I got to from eating breakfast, the clothes that you took off, they had wash. So I could have carried a backpack because they didn't let no. And I got a massage in every place we stopped. You know what kind of massage I got, Candy? A Swedish massage.
But what was that like? I've never had a Swedish massage.
It's just it's kind of a kneading thing.
Okay.
It's not the deep tissue thing that I like.
That hurts.
Yeah, I like the hurting kind. Yeah.
I don't.
Sometimes it's
The other thing, Satella and I, we went on this thing. Let me tell you, man, the Swedish islands are kind of similar to the Exuma Islands
Really?
in that there are many islands, and in fact, and I don't know if you knew this, there's a Swedish Bahamas Association in Stockholm.
Did not.
No, of course not.
Did
Of course
not
not.
know that.
You read.
I'm
That's
too-
all you're doing is
I'm-
reading.
I'm too busy
Okay.
reading.
But there's a Swedish Bahamian, Anders Wiberg, who is the Swedish ambassador here for many, many, many years. You know Anders.
I do, yes.
And so they had this sweet, and they bought a lot of property in Exuma, Bahama Acres, because why? The Swedes love sailing. Yes. They love sailing. And so they have tons of sailboats. They have like 3 months of the year to sail in. The rest it's dark. And
I was going to say.
you know what I did mostly? I collected wildflower seeds. You know, when you go on those type of vacations, there's not a lot of things to do. So you find yourself doing some strange stuff. So I collected wildflower seeds. They had a lot of wild flowers.
So how did you go about that? I mean,
I picked them off the flowers.
So you just
And I collected them, and then I tried to grow them here. It didn't work.
right.
Didn't work. But that's what I did. And everywhere I went, I'm going to go, okay, I'm going to get some seeds.
But nothing worked.
I don't think it worked, no.
Okay.
So that was that. And she and I, we just had a great time. It was a good trip. A very, very good trip.
It was hard
And,
not to have a good time around her, though.
Yeah. And I got to tell you this story that isn't related to her, but it's funny, because we all had a laugh. So we went on this boat, and we were supposed to go to the birthplace, the ancestral home of Orville Turnquist.
Right. The
Because Turnquist
clan.
is a derivative of Turnquist. Swedes. So when the Swedes passed through Long Island, they did a slam jammer rama with some local Long Island gals. And hence Turnquist became, it's how we bastardize it. Turnquist. So the Big O was searching his ancestors in Malmö, Sweden. And in order to go there, you had to go on the Baltic Sea. And Baltic seeing, So I decided to go to sleep. My wife decided to go to sleep. And I woke up, and I didn't see her. And she was in the loo. I don't know what it's called in Sweden. It's probably called the Sven. So she's in there, and things are coming out everywhere.
Oh,
It's rocking and rolling.
I think I've heard of this.
So I pulled her out of there. I pulled Satella out of her room. She was sick. Georgie was sick. Edith was sick. Everyone was sick. I was borderline. I was kind of like the rescuer.
You were keeping everybody
Right.
in.
Meanwhile, the Big O is laying on the ground. When I say laying, he's just relaxing on the ground.
Right.
And he's looking at some DVDs. And he says to me, and he has a little glass of vodka tonic in his hand, swilling it down. He says to me, Edward, what's the best Sean Connery Bond? Okay. I said, look, man, I'm trying to save the ship. Okay?
We are in an emergency
Okay.
situation.
People are dying. Okay?
Or they feel like they're dying.
Yeah. And you're asking me about a Bond thing? What's wrong with you? Are you not sick? And he goes like this. No. And do you know why? Because I'm a Viking.
This is where he came from.
Yeah.
It's in his blood.
So this was a big thing. So that was a big joke for the whole trip. But yeah, so my condolences to the family, and I'm sure we'll see you in the soon to be. That's that. Now, we're talking about Christmas.
Yeah.
So yeah, Christmas, yeah. Yeah, Candy, get on the mic, please. Because we ain't talking about a relationship today.
No, we're not. Hey, I'm spent.
Yeah, exactly. It's the end of the year.
Oh my goodness, yes, we
Yeah.
need a break.
So you tend to be a Xmas person.
I am. I'm very much so.
Yeah.
It's my birthday season too, Ed.
The 22nd, I
Yes,
think.
it is. Next
Good.
week. Right, rolls right on into Christmas.
Yeah. You would be a prime subject for regifting
No, I
Or
set that
double
precedence
gifting.
a very long time ago.
or double gifting.
No.
Here. That's what you.
Eh? No. Even as a child, I remember. No, I always got two.
Yeah, well.
From
not
and
getting
from my
two from me now.
immediate and my aunts and stuff like that. I didn't, put that on anybody else.
You're
but
old now, that's
my
not gonna count.
family.
Yeah.
They still do.
They do?
Lucky
Yeah.
to get gifts.
Yeah.
I'm the baby,
Yeah. Oh, okay.
of 4. So I'm a little tad bit spoiled.
yeah.
in
By
that
the way,
way.
you did remember? That's why I know we were talking about Christmas because if you recall, I requested 250,000.
Yes,
Oh,
an
right.
obscene amount of money, amount of cash, buck. No, but I was
Question
saying,
was asked, what do you
Right,
want for
what
Christmas?
Look,
And he
all
said,
right,
what do you
look, I
want?
get it. Things tight. I'll go with 200
200 slash the 50.
slash the
But that's
50.
as low as you go.
No,
200.
not slash.
Oh,
deferred.
deferred.
Yes,
To a
deferred
later
till
date.
December. So-
No, but I was saying, like, this is the first time I've not felt in the Christmas mood. I have we just bought our Christmas tree.
you know what I
last
have in my
night.
car? Some poinsettia standards.
Oh, yes, your standards that you buy every year.
Yes, and it's all very pre-functionary. You know?
Right.
Where do you
And
get
the-
them from, Ed?
From the potting shed.
Yes.
Oh,
Right
on
there.
Yes,
Shirley
Tanya
Street.
Nunez.
Yes.
Right.
Tanya.
Look here, boy. He's doing the same thing I did 20 years ago. You see, 20 years ago, you see that thing that's taped on there?
Uh-huh.
It was taped on there. Okay? And he did the same thing. He looked under that thing at me. Smith, I miss Kirk Smith. He doesn't miss me, but I miss Kirk Smith. He had the balls, and I use the word balls, to say that he called me and I didn't answer the phone. Now, this is a chap who, if I call 5,000 times, he doesn't answer. And yet, one
called
time,
once.
and I called him back, and he didn't answer. Yeah, Kirk Smith, he's my pal. He's near death as well.
No, you don't say.
Okay.
Oh, that's not
But he
nice.
acknowledges it, I
Maybe-
acknowledge it, we know it. He's just
maybe
closer
he
to me
doesn't
than
want
I.
to be.
Yeah, we all acknowledge it. He used to tell me all the time, he says, I ain't got time. But we've lasted past the time we thought we would.
And
Is that
y'all-
not right, correct, Smith? Kirk Smith?
And just because of that,
It's borrowed time now.
You on borrowed time?
he
He's not, what is he doing? Is he saying? I can't
he's
see him.
looking at
He
something.
should come in here. So anyway, so you're all set up for Christmas?
No,
Okay, good.
no. But and it's funny. I don't know if I'm not ready or prepared for Christmas because it's just so busy, man. Are you busy? Like I'm constantly doing something. Like it's always something to do
Like forget to bathe type busy?
on the weekend. No, not forget to bathe.
Just
type
deliberately
weekend.
don't bathe weekend?
Right.
What happened, Kendrick?
No, man.
No, man?
Like I know for me this week it's but
Kendrick, what happened?
I don't know, I just really feel it this year. Like I really feel the busyness and and then, being on the
Is it
I
because
don't
of
know.
the calligraphy?
Well, that too, trying to, build a business too. I'm always
You know what you should call yourself? I just thought of the name.
Oh, please do
Calligraphy
tell me.
Candy.
Oh, Lord.
Oh gosh. That didn't take much thought.
Well, I'm done with it. I'm finished. We're moving on.
Calligraphy candy?
Very
Oh,
original.
like okay, yeah.
Oh, you mean you didn't even get it? That's the name of your business.
Took a while.
Do you have a business name?
No. I have design candy.
No, change that. Change that.
Why?
Change
That's
that.
too generic. Like,
Yeah, man.
Is it generic?
You're more than just design.
But I'm more than just calligraphy.
Kurt Smith. Look here, man.
That's why I say design.
He's giving- How are things in Seymour's? He's being, see, he's doing that, and he does it, and it doesn't change. Anyway, it
But
doesn't
I find it very difficult to disconnect. And then what's so funny? I saw this on the internets, in the interwebs.
Yeah, Kelly Candy.
No.
Okay.
Offline is the new luxury.
What?
Get it?
No, I don't, because I'm not
Being
any kind of
disconnected
line.
is the new luxury now. Like
Oh.
we're so plugged into everything now that
Oh, that's new cool.
it's literally it's people
Space?
you can't attain it. It's like a
things are going to
luxury
come.
that people that just can't.
Full circle.
It's crazy.
They have
I
to
like
come
that
full
slogan
circle.
though. Offline, like orange is the new black.
I'm offline.
Offline,
I'm offline, don't
that's the
bother
new
me.
thing now. I'm
Well, it
I'm
isn't
disconnected.
new. It ain't new because in our day we had a different phraseology for it. I ain't checking.
But you
Is
know,
that what it
it's
means?
so hard.
Yeah.
Do you take your phone to the bathroom?
Of course.
Because then what do you do?
course.
You do?
Well,
I
you
don't.
take
You
books.
probably take your book.
I do.
Okay,
I
well, what's the
have
wrong with all your
magazines
electronic book?
there.
Or no,
I have-
not your book. You have a Kindle?
I
In
know,
fact,
I read.
Read books.
Let's
real
talk.
books
Okay.
And real
Let's
magazines.
talk toiletries for a second.
Toiletries.
I will look for a readable medium to go to the bathroom. It's like you can't go without it. Do you look for
I
words to read?
No, I take my phone.
Do you know-
I cannot. If I go, I scream for my
Yeah.
child to bring.
Do you know
it.
how bad it is with this toilet reading thing? And it's got to be a thing. I don't know what it is. This is where I discovered that way back that the inside of the Eno bottle had
The
words
instructions.
on the inside
Inside.
of the label. Because you're in the bathroom and all of a sudden there's no reading stuff, so you grab the Eno. I got to read the Eno.
So let me see
Eno's
here.
So,
Oh, wow.
old school. People still drink Eno.
Maybe,
I have
come on, look
Sabinas,
at-
but of course it's not as old school because it's lemon freshing. There's lemon in it now. It's a cool, refreshing drink. So you don't use Eno?
No.
Oh, well, that's
I
too
have
bad.
Oh, but why
I
the
have
Eno in
never
the bathroom,
used
though?
Eno.
No, the Eno bottle would be kept in the medicine
Eno
cabinet.
is for what, like heartburn?
It's a medicine.
Right, but it's in the
In
medicine,
my
so
day,
you could
it was a
reach-
medicine.
You could reach for.
Well, no, you're in there and it's in the committal mode.
I don't even see Eno in the drugstore.
No,
Is
because
that-
you're not
is-
looking
is
for
that
it.
An antacid? What
It is an
it?
antacid, but it also doubles as a cool, refreshing drink.
You know what else you don't see? Buckley's.
Oh,
No, they banned that.
Buckley's.
No, the Buckley's
Oh,
rub,
the rub.
right?
Okay, they banned the
That's
drink.
Vicks Vapor Rub you're talking about.
Yeah.
Dude,
But
I
it's,
have
but it's
not
Buckley's.
seen-
It's not
yeah,
Vicks. It's
Buckley's.
Buckley's. It's a different brand. It's
Right.
like tissue, Kleenex, Scots.
Okay.
Okay.
Have you seen it? Like I've not seen
Not
it.
because I've not really been looking for any Buckley's. Okay.
You've
But,
not
but
been.
Buckley's, they don't. The cough syrup, they don't sell.
They don't sell it either.
I like how we're wondering. I love it.
Yeah, what's going
Why
I
did
on?
feel
they
very
ban that,
Trumpy.
though?
Okay.
Yeah, what is? We
The-
just have
no,
to tell a big lie now.
Well, we got a break. We're gonna take a break and he did it because I was gonna hit one more, and that's Fensick. You got no Fensick.
I don't know what Fensic is. Is that an aspirin?
I don't know what Fensic
That's
is.
an aspirin.
What is that?
It's an aspirin.
Okay, well,
My
I know.
mouth is dropped.
But
Do you know
I'm-
what Fensic is?
I'm going back into the
Fensic?
70s of my childhood to bring that up.
Well, there's Fensic.
Okay.
I haven't seen Fensic in decades.
Well, y'all got to get your act
Do
together.
they still sell it?
I don't know
Probably not.
because I'm in Advil now.
I leave.
We'll be in it. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Ed Fields here along with Erica Wells Cox, Candy Thompson, and of course our good friend, Mr. Kendrick Williams. Our guest this afternoon will be Mr. Frank Watson, former Deputy Prime Minister of the Free National Movement, and it seems to be continually in an ongoing movement. Anyway, we'll talk about that. We'll also talk about it before Franco. I always call him. I don't know why. I'm like this weird thing with names. I like to give people names, so I would always call him Franco Bahamian. Like Franco-American spaghetti.
Yes, I am aware. Yes.
So I would call him Franco Bahamian.
Franco, did he find that funny?
Oh yeah,
Good.
I can call him that when he come.
All right.
Watch. So yeah. So there's a lot going on, but we've moved off of this Christmas garble for now. There's a stuff, the political stuff.
Oh,
Yeah. Well, how do you folks feel? I'll just like to hear
I'm
how you feel.
confused.
I am confused as well.
I'm
I'm
very
confused. Ken. Everyone's confused. Okay,
Everybody-
let's do another show. We're confused. Okay, it's a unanimous confusion.
No,
It's
I think the people who are involved are confused.
It's unsettling a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm unsettled too. Are you unsettled too, Candy?
and not that I'm unsettled. I just
Okay.
need understanding. I mean,
Right.
let me know what's going on. I need to know what's going on, and then I'll figure out if that unsettles me.
And I don't think I don't think we should be walking away confused.
No.
Well, you said it before about like when the Bahamar deal was, when we were talking with the Prime Minister and other people. When you make a gigantic move like this, because once people have their own narrative, okay, it's hard to reset. In fact, I said something the other day about it's easier to pause than to reset.
Yeah.
Using a little DVD reference. But the reason is because once you get something out there, people it's entrenched,
Well,
right?
And it's hard to pull that
Right.
back.
So my thing would be is when you're doing this, you got to have a plan to launch it. To other than just like, hi, we're gone, bye. You gotta kind of outline what the deal is. I mean, now they said that their issue is with the leadership. Okay, but what does that do in journalism school for me? Why?
Right.
You know, it's a continual whys, right?
Right.
So I don't know. Time will tell.
In times like this, I think you look. In this case, it would be Loretta Butler Turner. You're looking for a statement and an explanation, and that seems to be a meaningful statement to explain, like you said. Well, why, right?
It cannot be. Let me just say this for the record, and I've not gone on the record in terms of condemning or nothing. Neutral. It cannot be Edison Key. That's not an acceptable thing.
Well, I mean, we know essentially that she's unhappy. They're unhappy with the leadership of Minnis, right?
But 2 weeks ago, it was power to the people.
And I think that's why people are confused.
Yeah, because I think most people thought, you know what, this is behind. This is
thought
gone.
so.
What I'm confused. I mean, who and what are they now? Like, is she still F&M?
Yeah, she's still F&M.
and
There's
is
a
he
process
still-
which we will ask Mr. Watson to go through. Frankly, Mr. Watson, we'll ask him to go through with us because there's a procedure. But what I know is that essentially, I know, they were served letters asking them to resign.
Right.
I think based on what a tribunal may have or would say is injurious damage, injurious behavior or action to the party. And from that would be some disciplinary options. And so it's a process. But right now they are F&M. But here's the real confusion. It's juicy stuff. She is the leader of the F&M in the House of Assembly.
Right.
Mr. Minnis is the leader of the F&M, the party. And Mr. McCartney is the leader of the opposition in the Senate, of which he's not an F&M.
Right,
Exactly.
he's
That's
a
why it's very
DNA.
confusing.
Somehow this sounds like Barney.
But
You know what I mean?
So I guess you can appoint.
Yeah, you can point who you
anyone
want.
from
Who you
anyone.
want.
Yeah,
from
Fred
any
Mitchell, for
line.
instance, Fred Mitchell was an appointed senator by the F&M.
Right.
Okay.
And he was independent.
Right.
Except Brand. You could appoint another party. It doesn't matter.
I was going to say, but he was independent.
So
It's just
in
all-
theory, and I don't know, were there any other DNA members appointed to the Senate?
Not that I'm
Not that-
aware
Okay.
of.
I don't know. It's all just, stuff to me. So, but this is what I think is the biggest thing. And that is basically, this is kind of one of those moments where the people kind of put a punctuation mark on this isn't about us.
Right.
Because for one, if it is about us, can you tell us why it's about us? Because right now, we don't know why it's about us. Right now, the only thing we can conclude is it's about you all. Not any particular person, but about you all's differences.
Right.
Okay, now, I suppose the argument would be we're doing this for the good of the country. But logically, I don't see how that works.
What I don't get, or what I'm having difficulty getting, is okay. So Dr. Minnis won at the convention.
All right,
Okay,
twice.
so he has the support of the council and that sort
The
of thing.
delegates, etc.
But he does not have the support of the MPs.
Correct.
Right? So then you're asking yourself, well, what matters more then? Because if he was democratically elected at the convention.
Well, the party doesn't. The 7 MPs seemingly don't have the support of the party.
Right, and that's where it gets confusing, because remember in 1990 you had Margaret Thatcher, who had won the leadership of her party at the convention, but her cabinet then came to her and said, listen, you need to step aside, you don't have our support. She'd won the leadership of the party, but decided, I will step down.
Well, in the Westminster system, if your cabinet specifically shows a vote of no confidence, you step down, and then traditionally you resign because when you're dealing with the prime minister level, you're not going to go from that to backbencher type deal.
Right, but does the same principle apply in this situation where you have, the
Obviously, it does
parliamentary
because they
caucus?
could write a letter.
No, but I mean in terms of Dr. Minnis, sort of by convention, he should resign too.
that's the big question. But why would he resign if he believes he has? I'm not saying legally. If he believes he has the support, because you have to remember, essentially, it's like this: if you and I go into DePuch Publications as employees, and we say to Mr. DePuch, "Hey, listen, love your paper. You're not our boss anymore. You're not the boss of me anymore. We're the boss of us in the paper." Okay? He's going to go, "Okay, well, you don't exist to me." Okay? And maybe you have some legal basis for staying there.
Right.
Because, you created something that says you're not the boss of me or whatever. Right. But I can assure you that he will be pursuing the procedure to get your ass out. Okay? Because that's an unworkable situation. Mm-hmm. So I don't, none of us know what this is going to pan out to be. This is what I do know. In this country, by constituency, let's just say you have 40 diehard supporters of each party. Okay? Just numbers, 40. So you got a 20% swing. In a particular constituency, if you have 2,000 people, okay, and 900 of those go for one party and 900 go for another party, and that leaves 200. Mm-hmm. If you split one party, that's 400 to 500 or 600 to 300. The 200 can't even help you win because the other party still have their 900. So that's what I think is what they're looking at in terms of injurious, because essentially that's a split.
I would agree.
Yeah. So we got to take a break. We're going to go to news. We'll come back and we'll talk some more about this. Hear what you think. We have, as I said, we have Frank Watson who's going to come on and give us some inside stuff, some juicy inside stuff. We'll be right back. Ed Fields here along with Erica Wells Cox and Candelaria Thompson. I'm here, Kendrick. I want to ask Kendrick something. Kendrick, I'm going to use a basketball analogy. I used it earlier in the show, in another show. You go out to Delaport to play ball, right? Some guy, he always counts with the ball. He's the guy who got the ball. He got the ball. You play. Now, maybe he isn't a good a player, and so he don't get much play. Or if he does get play, maybe he calls foul, and everyone say, what kind of foul? Or they don't want to give him the ball or whatever. So what does he do?
He says game come. Basically, he takes the ball and leave or sits down.
And what you have as a result is people wandering around on the court. Okay, I've been there. I'm sure Kendrick have been there, right? When the ball, you're out in a heated game of basketball. Okay, when the fella takes the ball, everyone they don't know what to do, because you need a ball to play.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you might say, "Man, come on, man." Someone might say, "Man, come on, man. Don't take the ball, man. Man, let's play," because they won't play.
Right. Exactly.
But you can't. But you know what happens when you take the ball? No one wins.
And there's chaos. And
no one wins. It is the perfect metaphor, right? No one wins. Okay? So this is what I think is the case, okay? I think the case is that it's disarray.
Right.
It's disarray. I'm not going to sit here and I'm not going to blame anyone. Come in, Franco. I'm not going to blame anyone on I can blame Frank. I'm not going to blame anyone on what has happened. It's just an analysis, an observation. Candy, thank you. We'll see you soon. Okay. Continue to make noise. Okay, let's watch Frank hug the pretty girls. Okay. Frank, but don't be shade, man. You ain't tight no more. Okay. Frank, I told them that I would refer to you as Franco Bahamian, as I always do.
You always do.
Exactly.
That's not funny.
Yeah, man. How's life treating you?
Oh, it's up and down,
Up and down.
These are some dark clouds hanging over us right now. Right.
Well, we're going to get some. We want to. One of the things we try to do, Frank, on this show especially, is rather than get into the raw politics of it, is to get an understanding. And what I would like to understand, I'm sure Erica would as well, is some protocol issues or procedural issues that you would know about being a deep in the party structure, right? So, first of all, the action taken by the 7 was a constitutional action that is valid under the Constitution. Now, what that's left with is a scenario where you have a leader of the opposition in the House who are still FNMs, a leader of the party who is an FNM, and a now leader of the opposition business in the Senate who is not an FNM. I suppose their DNA. There's not,
That's what they say.
he's DNA. He's not independent.
No.
He's DNA.
Yeah.
So it's an odd scenario.
Right.
I don't know if it's ever kind of happened. You would know. Has anything like this happened?
No, not
Okay.
to that extent.
Yeah.
We've had a situation where we had a leader in the House and a leader out of the House, but they were both FNMs.
Right,
Yeah.
right. And that was because of one lost the election. It wasn't an overthrowing.
That is-
the,
that
the,
is
the
correct.
leader who was a leader lost his seat.
That is correct. That's correct.
Frank, this is a very confusing thing for many of us. Do you know of well, all right, let's deal with the procedural things first. So I understand that the party met and letters were sent to the Seven to say, ask them to resign. Isn't that accurate? Is that
I
accurate?
understand that to be so,
Okay.
yeah.
And that was based on a tribunal's conclusion that there was something injurious done to the party, correct?
No, yes, of course it was based on that, but they revoked a part of the FNM constitution,
Right.
which said what they did was inconsistent with the constitution of the FNM.
Okay.
Unfortunately, it is consistent with our
Our
country's
constitution. Right,
yeah.
right. Well, that's the only reason they could do it.
That's right.
So that they would see that as being injurious to the party.
That is correct. Yeah.
Now, the Seven have said that it's absurd to ask them to resign. Of course, I find the whole scenario overall absurd. So once you enter the absurd world, everything is absurd. Okay, but they said that's absurd. So obviously, the party is going through the machinations of dismissing them, et cetera, et cetera. I would assume that's the ultimate objective.
Yes, unless common sense will prevail, that is what is going to happen. Exactly that, and so what you're
When you
looking
say
at,
common sense, would you prescribe as common sense?
there are no issues in a political party that can't be settled amicably, except it is based on personalities.
So if I kick you in the balls, let me just go basic. We could settle that amicably.
We ought to be able to.
Okay, well,
depending on
you're
what the
a good fella.
circumstances were. If we are interested in our party succeeding,
Right.
then we will put personalities aside and work with what we have.
Do you not? I mean, I'm trying to see that scenario because we're human beings, all of us, right? Do you think that's a little far gone, or is that commonsensical position you're saying not necessarily commonsensical to the other party?
Yes, it may not be. It may not make sense to anybody, but I'll tell you a scenario that I have experienced. When I was drafted to run for the FNM, I was to be running in Long Island. And that was based on some arrangements between, and what I don't remember is the BDP at the time or the SDP.
some
one
kind of
those,
P.
One of those, and the FNM. The discussions broke down. We went into election. In many seats, we got enough votes to have beaten the PLP together,
But it was a split.
but it was a split. And so sometime after the election, the same people who couldn't agree before the election came together and joined together to begin to build a party in the late 70s.
Yeah, but that was post the election, Frank.
I'm
We're not
telling you what
yeah.
I'm saying. In essence, is the same people who couldn't agree before the election found the means by which they could agree after the election.
So you're saying that you got to think about post-election now.
No, I'm saying.
Tell me- give me the scenario.
I'm saying that we should know that if we are going into this election, even with a fringe party,
Well, everyone
we are
knows
not
that.
going to win.
But everyone knows that,
Yeah.
Frank.
So-
Everyone
so
knows
what-
that it
so-
happened in 2012.
Yeah, so what is the interest? What is the purpose? A party ought to be have as its
Objective.
highest objective
Yeah, to win.
to win the election, because many persons on all levels of society depend on their party to win for them, especially in an environment like this where the PLP is taking care of PLP and the hell with everybody else. So they look at this thing and they say, man, I'm going to take another 5 years in
Let me
this
ask you a quick
business."
question before we talk about this walk back that you're talking about. Were you aware that this action was going to happen before it happened?
No.
Okay. So that says something because you were not aware of it. Now what you're saying is now that it's happened, I'm asking you this. Is there a walk back on this?
Yeah.
You went and got sworn in, you've coalesced with the DNA. Is there a walk back? The only walk back I can see that group may be looking at is for Mr. Minnis to quit. That's not a walk back position, is it?
No, not at all. I
That's
don't
a
think,
walk over.
Right.
I don't think that's a pragmatic position, right? But certainly there can be compromise where the two groups work together during the course of this election, having regard to the fact that you only got 3 or 4 months to go. So I don't know how.
As they
any-
call you, Uncle Frank, could you please explain that scenario to the public? Because I don't think anyone out there, or as optimistic as my good friend Mrs. Carol Lashley would always say to me, I don't see the reality of that. You honestly believe that the objective of which is to win will overcome this kind of toxic environment? Because Frank, I don't think you've ever seen this kind of toxicity. Have you?
No, not to this level.
Yeah.
No. But you know, if we stop for a moment and say, listen, this is probably the first time in my lifetime where the PLP is saying to the FNM, take this thing. It's too much for me. You know? And
That's the cryptic note.
and we are going to lose this election because we can't agree on a way forward. And I don't understand how that could be. Because from my perspective, I've always considered the party's interests to be over and above any personal or other interests. That has always been my position in the party.
Erica.
So what do you think, Mr. Watson, is in the best interests of the party? You know, you have a situation where the parliamentary caucus, they've abandoned the leader of the party, which says something. I think that's telling.
Yeah.
But you also have a situation where the party itself, the council, the votes that matter, have elected Minnis twice now. So it's a very kind of interesting position, but a decision has to be made, or a move has to be made one way or the other, because the MPs don't want to resign from the FNM, and Minnis has made it quite clear that he's not going anywhere. When we were off the air, I raised the matter of, under our system, should Minnis resign because he's lost the confidence of a powerful group?
You know, unfortunately, the framers of the Constitution never envisaged parties. They only saw members of Parliament, right? Which creates this peculiar situation
love Frank.
today. But I go back to this point. If we are interested in bettering the quality of life for our people, of creating a better society for our people,
It can't be about personality.
it cannot be about anything that we talk about today. It has to be about how do we reach that end game.
You could argue that both of the main characters in this situation are very strong personalities,
Right. Yes.
and there seems to be, from my perception, you know, they're both kind of maybe not taking the overall interest of the party into consideration.
A PR guy said to me, Erica, to pile onto your thing, that in politics, there are no personalities or I don't like you or you don't like me. All there is situations. And you have to make the situation work. But I just think, Frank, that, and we're going to take a break, and we'll come back, that, and I want to ask you some direct questions, and I'm sure you'll be candid. I don't see the walk back routine. I think that sometimes, you know, when you're over the cliff, it's kind of impossible to jump back up. But we'll be back and we'll talk about that. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Ed Fields here, along with one of the. I don't even. Were you a founder of the Free National Movement?
No.
But
I
you
came-
certainly come
came
not
right
too
after
far out.
that.
Yeah. Frank Watson, former Deputy Prime Minister, Minister of Works, Minister of a lot of stuff. I'm going to ask you a tough question. And I think we've known each other long enough that I can ask you this question. Frank Watson considers himself to be a member of the Free National Movement, correct?
Correct.
If the 7 are disciplined through via being expelled, does Frank Watson remain a Free National Movement member?
You know, I am a member of the Free National Movement, and I've been there for a long time. We've been through many tough times. I served 2 terms in opposition during the course of the Lyndon Pinland's reign, and I'm committed to the FNM.
Okay. So I'm not going to even give you the follow-up question because that's your statement, so that you don't need to say anything. How many people you think are in your boat? Where, there have obviously been people who have determined which side they're going to be with, whether it's Dr. Minnis or whether it's Mrs. Butler Turner. But then there's a whole bunch of people who are kind of like in the washing machine. Is that a lot of people?
I suspect there are many right now, but among the people who I associate with on a regular basis, the majority of them are FNMs. I don't see many of them supporting a split-up party. I mean, and things can change in politics overnight, right?
It happened with
But,
DNA,
yeah.
for instance. You had people who went over
Right,
to Brand McCartney.
Right.
So you always get a segment of that.
Yes,
Yeah.
But the base of the FNM, I think, will remain. I think that Mr. Minnis has to find a way to connect with the people of the Bahamas, to speak in terms which they understand and on issues that are of concern to them.
Is there, boy, this is some tough questioning because this is tough times. Is there a Clinton-esque scenario going on where there is a kid in town who was, and I'm going to acquaint the two. I'm going to say, and it's not because of gender. I'll say Mrs. Butler on the Clinton-esque side, Mr. Minnis on the Bernie Sanders side. I'm not talking about ideologies. I'm talking about outsider-insider thing, where I think Loretta Butler Turner, I think it's fair to say, represents more of the establishment FNM, those who have been around quite a while. Whereas Mr. Minnis, I've heard FNM say something like they don't, establishment FNM say they don't even recognize some of the people in the party now, right? So if that is the case, is there a disconnect between, this is a very big danger because people who have been around for a long time in something tend to believe that they know everything about that particular scenario. Is there a disconnect between the establishment and the reality?
And if you take the establishment to be the council?
No, the establishment I don't think the council is the establishment. I think the establishment are those who do not agree with Mr. Minnis's leadership. That's what I think is the establishment in the FNM. So I could name it. Erica's doing nothing, but I can tell you, we can name it.
I understand.
Yeah, the establishment are, the Brent Simonettes, the Frank Watsons, the Tommy Turnquest, the Dion. These are the establishment of the FNM.
Yeah.
There's no question about that. Do they feel? Is there a disconnect between them and the party supporter in the terms of the base supporter now? Because the base has obviously shifted. It's like the Clinton scenario. The base shifted to Bernie Sanders. Okay? She had to adopt almost all of Bernie Sanders' platform.
Yes.
I've always wondered, I don't mean to interrupt you, but this dovetails onto Ed's question. I have always wondered about that disconnect, and there sometimes appears to be a disconnect. Mr. Watson, you said it in a roundabout way. The public might be feeling one way about a party leader, right? Possibly.
Or at least the perception is that.
The perception is that. And then you have the council, though, that supports that leader, even though, I mean, you see it in the newspapers, you hear it on the talk shows. A lot of people are unhappy with Minnis. Right? If you were to do a poll, maybe the majority would say, we don't feel him right now. He's not kind of doing what we want to do. But does the council listen to that? Does he take that into consideration?
Personally, I am not sure that
It's
is
the case. Right. But I'm saying if
I
that is.
honestly believe that the bulk of the F&M supporters, right? We have never been a grassroots party. We've always been a middle income group party, people with a little more education, experience, exposure, etc. I believe that there's
A shift.
a shift.
That's the point I'm making.
There's a shift.
The point I'm making is that it's like this. Bernie Sanders had the millennials. Okay?
Yeah.
The party elite, so to speak, or the party establishment were the Clinton-esque folks.
Right.
But the reality is this guy was turning out thousands and thousands of people.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So they didn't
Absolutely.
listen.
They didn't.
Absolutely.
The establishment didn't listen to the base.
That is
Right.
right. Now, what the leader now has to do is turn out large numbers of people and connect with them. All right? But to date, I can say that I have not really seen him engage people in a way which turn them on and get them going out to campaign for
And
you,
it's
to
to be-
talk about you. And,
Well, to be honest with you, that's been on. I think, I don't know if any. To be on, I mean, I'm thinking from an observer's point of view. I don't know if there's been any inspiration on either side.
Right.
no.
There's not been.
no.
Unfortunately, there's not been a Bernie Sanders
kind
person,
of
guy.
No, there's no such
But
person.
there's a Clinton-esque type of person.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if the current leader of the party is unable to win, right? Let's say
You mean the election?
right,
general election.
the general election, and quite possibly the person who is challenging them for the position is also
Unable to
apparently unable to win. Where does that leave the party?
That's why a compromise right now is the right thing to do.
So this is what I'm going to see. This is Franco Bahamian. This is what I'm going to glean from that.
Uh-huh.
That if somehow, and I don't see it, but just throw this out, if somehow the two parties agree to agree that their dynamic, their various machinations of their dynamic, either them as leader, them as challenger, one or the other as is not working. Does this give the possibility for someone else to emerge
It's
as a leader, or is it
it's-
too late for that? Because that's the only possibility.
Well,
There's got to be two people say, you know what, I want to achieve the objective.
Yeah, it'll take somebody who has been somewhere in the arena before to emerge. But I'm not sure that, from what I can
You see what he just did,
there's-
and you see why you just smiled.
There's nobody out there that is really interested in entering.
And you
into
see what he
this
did it
race.
again.
Well, and then you have this really big, I don't want to call it an obstacle, but then you have to convince the council, because it seems like the council is the
Well, the council,
kingmaker in
but the
this.
council would have to be based on the compromise that the leader who controls the council
Right, so and
says,
that's a
go
huge,
with that.
That's a huge
Yeah.
player, but
Well,
in
that's-
this situation,
selling the council on a compromise is not a great difficulty.
It's the individual who controls the council.
That's correct.
Right.
That's correct.
So because they move with, that's how it's controlled,
That's
right?
how
That's
it's
politics,
controlled.
right?
Yes, yes.
So that ain't happen.
Yeah,
Okay.
Well,
Not-
I hope not. I hope it
Well,
does.
let me throw this out at you. I'm gonna be on the show, man. We could say anything, Franco.
Of course.
Okay. You have some new people in the party. You
Yes.
have a Mr. Jeff Lloyd, for instance, in the party. From what I understand, and you talk about polls, and a lot of people don't realize this, but they did a poll. It was in the Nassau Guardian that showed that of all the people, and they were all in the fours, all the people who, in terms of popular vote for the poll, Dr. Minnis actually was the highest. He had 5.1. Everyone had 4 point something. Doesn't mean much when everyone's at 4. But the point I'm making is, I think and I don't know if he was in this poll, Jeff Lloyd actually polled very high in a poll. Are these the kind of people who could come to the fore that say two truly altruistic people who say, you know what? Whatever we've created here is disastrous. We want to win. We have to accept that based on the numbers, based on the situation, that can't happen. Someone like a Frank Watson and others on the other side, statespeople, go and say, listen, guys, the two of you all, maybe this is not going to work out. We need to look at another scenario. It can't be one or the other. Both got to move on. Is that even a discussion? And who are the people who would be able to say that to those folks?
Well, my experience is that, when you have a group of people around you all day telling you you are winning, the last thing you want to hear from is people who say, man, it don't look good for you.
Right.
But that's before. This is now when the numbers are split. You just said the scenario. When it's split, it can't happen.
No, it can't happen if it's split. It
Yeah,
cannot happen.
It cannot happen.
No, but would they accept that? I don't know. You see, somebody has to start listening to the voices of the people, and recognize that you cannot win an election down on Marquis Street in that office.
Yeah.
It's
See,
out on the street where you win the elections.
there is cause for alarm because of the following. History shows that those that are handed power or assume power or end up with power, they're not necessarily interested in anything else but that. And you end up, this is mild. I was talking about, undermining. This is mild. People, A2 Brute, you got people tasting people drinks, because they're getting poisoned. You know what I mean? This is mild stuff, man. Okay, in the history of time. Okay, so the reality is that people don't just go away, and it's the sad part about it is, as we observe this, is that there doesn't seem to be a concern, and I'm just blanketing everyone with this, on us.
That's correct. Right now, there doesn't appear to be anyone who is really concerned about winning the election.
And when I say us, I'm talking about the Bahamian people. I'm not getting political.
Well, we have to win the election to do what is best in the interest of the Bahamian people.
Right.
I don't think that is in the forefront of anybody's mind right now.
And that's disheartening to the nth degree.
That's right.
And this is why the voter registration is at 40%.
That is correct.
Because, see, someone called in the show. He said, don't think we're stupid. This is what the person said. I'm quoting them. Don't think we're stupid. We see everything. Okay? And these people see people who are fighting up here, over, some, plates. Okay? And we ain't talking about plate with food. Okay? Okay? Because they white plates now, they make everyone a blue plate, so they got white plates. So they're fighting over plates. And we are here surviving. We're struggling. We're dropping in place to do business. I don't know if it's a rumor where a bunch of people got fired here and this and it's disastrous.
It is disastrous. And all of the leadership, especially in the opposition, know that only so well. People are being let go from the banks all the time in small numbers, so you don't hear about it. From the financial services all the time. Every hotel is downsizing all the time. We have a population of 5,000 to 6,000 kids who come out of school every year. Okay? Then, since 2016, since about 2011 or so, 10 maybe, we've had no growth in this economy. We had first 2008, the financial crisis, which cost us dearly, right? And so we are now looking at the one thing that they say will help us, BABA. But BABA was to help us 4 years ago.
Look,
so what do we do? There's nothing else meaningful on the plate today. We should be so concerned about getting control of the economy so that we could do something that helps Bahamian people.
But Frank, what this highlights, and I mean, you probably think maybe differently because you were in the what do you call it? The pilot's area of the
Right.
boat, you're in the crew.
The driver.
Okay, yeah. I think this is what young people are feeling, and I'm trying to enunciate this clearly, is, the whole thing is a disaster.
Yeah.
I'm not just talking about the economy and the thing. The whole system is a disaster. When you have a situation in business, you're one of the few people who are in Parliament who is a businessman. Okay? When you have a business and you have a model, there's only so much times you can use that model if it's not working.
Yeah.
And we are perpetuating this model, and the model is deteriorating. It's not evolving, it's not flourishing, it's deteriorating. It's becoming more and more toxic. And so what we're trying to do is fit existing stuff into existing stuff, and that stuff doesn't work. We got to be way above this stuff now. And I don't know, and that's where I talk about an inspiration leader type thing. Not someone who's just going to come along and make noise because that's what we expect, but someone who can offer a whole new view.
Who's going to do something? Offer a
No
plan.
question, that our model has served us well over the years. But in the financial services, we are being attacked from every side. In the tourism business, we're in competition. I don't think our stopover tourists would have grown since the 90s,
Yeah.
And then on top of that, their spend has gone down, not up.
We're not looking, anyway, we're going to take a break. I got the little music in my ear. We'll come back and talk about this some more. It's very perplexing. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I don't have my thing, so I don't know what time it is. What time is it?
It's 6:45.
Great. Yeah. I should know that because that's when we take the break. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Ed Fields here along with Erica Wells-Cox, and Kendrick Williams is our engineer. Our guest today, and look, you can have a better guest than Mr. Frank Watson if you're going to try to get into this thing. this puzzle, okay? Because you know all the
Can't
ins
put
and
a name
outs,
to
and
it.
you're like Mr. F&M, expert or whatever. So the thing is, and just by the way, I've been saying it for many, many years, and I love the fact that you said the fact that when these constitutions were designed, they didn't envision party politics. Party politics, to me, is the toxin. Okay, it has evolved from what may have been a quote unquote whatever to this business. That's what it is. It's two businesses, competing businesses that we have to subject ourselves to, and it was not envisioned in these constitutions because you want to have independent thought, and party requires the whip, and it's a sad situation. Frank, if someone asked you today, if you were in Dr. Minnis', someone asked me this question today, that's why I'm asking you. If you were in Dr. Minnis' seat, what would you be doing?
You know something? One of the first responsibilities of a leader is to keep his party together. And I would be doing everything I can think of to keep that crew in there.
Let me speak to that, though. Let's deal with that. So the convention happened. Yes, Mrs. Butler Turner, who withdrew, she was not put in as deputy leader. Mr. Peter Turnquest, who supported Mr. Minnis, was put in as deputy leader. Obviously, you can see the rationale there. But the next thing was the issue of ratification of her nomination. That was done. It seems to me, and again, please, the people who are out there, if you can do whatever the hell you want, to be honest with you, don't draw any conclusions. These are observations. That's all they are, is observations of fact. They're not speculation. So the seat was given to Miss Butler Turner. She was ratified. The leader went down to Long Island, ratified her. They had a rally, I think 2-3 weeks ago, November 16th or so. They ratified some more people, go up on the stage, hands in the air thing. What the heck happened between the 16th and now? Are you aware of something that you wish to divulge to the listeners of Ed Fields Live on December 12th?
I honestly don't know what has happened.
Can someone tell us?
I have no idea. After the convention, I decided, let me see where I can help the FNM to win. That Mr. Minnis is the leader. He's been elected by the council. He's not my favorite, but he's my leader.
Were you under the impression, and that's the kind of maturity you need. You see it happen in the U.S. scenario all the time. That is who I went with, but this is the person who won the event convention thing, blah, blah, blah. Were you under the impression November 16th? No, sorry. Let me rephrase that. When did the thing happen? The letter. It was Monday?
That was
Last
Wednesday.
Monday? Last Wednesday? No, Tuesday.
That was-
No,
It was in the House of Assembly? Okay,
yeah,
Wednesday.
That was a Wednesday.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was-
On
I think it was
Tuesday,
Wednesday.
whatever date last Wednesday was, maybe like the 6th or something like that.
Yeah.
Were you under the impression that the FNM was unified on the 6th of that date, on whatever date that was, the Tuesday? Or did you see?
Let me bet how I could best put it. I thought that, notwithstanding the fact that there was no warm and fuzzy feeling among
Right.
MPs, that everybody was now beginning to figure out how we win the election
Okay.
with what we have. That was my impression.
So this was a
That's what I
curveball
was
with you.
doing.
This was a curveball?
Oh yeah, No, it caught me. What they say, flat-footed.
Did it catch most people deep within the party flat-footed?
Everybody who I communicate with on a regular basis was surprised.
It seems like the only people who weren't surprised is the 7 people.
It seems like it was only the 7 people.
That's amazing that you could keep that something like that secret.
Absolutely.
But so that's so I think, would you say then that this is a mess? Would you say if you were giving counsel to both sides that an explanation is due?
Yeah, I think the public needs to know why the 7 took that position, and then I think the leader needs to explain why he permitted this to happen.
Well, he didn't know it was going to happen. That's why he permitted it.
But if he's talking with his members all the time, he should know what they're thinking.
Well, let me tell you something.
I think that's a very valid
It's a
point.
valid point, except Caesar didn't know that, what do you name? Brute was against him until the knife was in the back. You kind of don't tell someone you're going to stab them before you stab them.
But Ed, listen, this is the way I understood politics. This is the way we operated. We met with our group regularly in formal and informal sessions.
Yeah.
We're talking to them all the time, exchanging ideas, you know. And if you're not doing that, it allows for this vacuum to
It's
occur.
okay, yeah. But again, it's you know, I think, like you said, and again, this goes to split down the middle, that certainly the Bahamian public, you know, it doesn't matter to me. The Bahamian public is desirous of having some understanding, because if they have understanding, they can make a decision. You know, information is the basis of decision making, right?
Exactly.
And then to Mr. Go ahead.
You
Anna,
don't
sorry.
want. I mean, you don't want to support a party in this case that doesn't seem stable, right? So you don't. Okay, so
And you
you're
don't want to
thinking-
support anyone who you don't know why they're doing what they're doing.
Right. I mean, because then it also becomes a trust issue, right?
That's right.
See, this is where we have these. See, now this is where we have these salient moments in a discussion, because you go through all of this theoretical stuff, and then you come down to some like gut wrenching stuff. So I tell you, Frank, he was my boy. Well, you know, he was my boy from that time.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
and then, okay, tomorrow, I tell Erica, she's my gal. You ain't my boy no more.
Yeah.
But you don't tell.
But I don't tell Frank why you ain't my boy. But the people who are going to now, you know, we got to go visit a client. We got to go visit some clients. I told those clients that Frank and I, that's my boy.
Yeah.
Okay? I show up to the meeting with Erica. Frank ain't my boy anymore. So the people say to me, the people then think, do I want to deal with this guy?
What's going on?
He just, didn't he see that? I saw he said that was his boy.
Yeah.
Because regardless of, in this case, what you might think of Ed as a client, right? You may think, I'm not sure, right?
Yeah.
But that's still that if your trust is shaken, you don't know which way to turn.
Well, you've tipped the scale. So any uncertainty
Yeah.
that you had with me, right? You
Builds on that.
because now I use some analogy like, if you're on TV and this is a stupid one, Erica. I said, if I go on TV and I say to everyone, I cannot stand the color lilac, I just can't deal with it. And then like the next week, I'm just like Mr. Lilac. I have to be able to explain to the people why I said I don't like lilac. Now, maybe I could say, you know what? Since that time, the doctors told me if I don't wear lilac, I'll die.
Right, and then you're like, oh, I get it.
I get it. I understand why you're wearing lilac now.
Nobody is saying that Ed cannot be trusted.
Use lilac, please. I like it. I like it, yeah.
What is being said is I'm confused
I'm
now.
confused about why you're wearing lilac when you said you don't like lilac.
That is correct. And so that's where we are today.
And see, I'm trying to have this conversation, if you notice, without calling any names, any people. I'm trying to be the citizen observing movements and trying to decipher what those movements mean.
And trying to express the feelings of
the people.
Out there, yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
You don't like lilac fields? What happened?
Yeah.
well, in this particular case now, both parties, both of the major players, now have to show the people what they can do and why they should be trusted, or however you want to frame it.
See, so now it goes to the heart of the point again, Frank. You know what all this does? All this does is elevate the distrust that was already there about politicians. See, these people they're not serious.
And it shakes the confidence of FNMs who are relying on their party to take advantage of this situation where they don't know they know that they are paying VAT. The customs duty has not really been lowered significantly, so the government must be earning more income than they did before. But the money is being spent, and it's hard to see where the money goes. I mean, there's nothing tangible you could look at and say, hey, that's what they did. You know?
Yeah. How much time we got there, Kendrick? You ain't show up no fingers to me. 5. This to me only reinforces again my mantra, if that's the correct phraseology or word, that and I'm invoke a name here. This is where this Mr. Henfield fills a void of sorts, and this plays right into it, because the reality is we've got to change the system, man. I'm not espousing on how that happens or when it happens, etc., but this is just falling apart. Okay, it is crumbling. The whole system is crumbling, and there is no kind of new blood infused into the system to revitalize it.
Yeah,
it's the same old, same old.
You know, what Henfield did is wonderful, except I always believe that we have to have organizations from the private sector who are concentrating on issues in the government, whether it's education, immigration, police, security, whatever. And they are there to monitor what the government is doing, to recommend, and I mean, when I say recommend, they are saying to the public that the government should do this or that or the other thing. And then when bills come before the House, the committee should be able to
consult with those folks.
Not only those folks, but have open meetings.
That's what I mean.
Open hearing. Public
consultation.
Those folks would be the pressure group would be the group that leads the charge.
Well, I'll tell you, Frank, they're evolving. I'm telling you, I'm not far removed from what's happening. They started off with a march, then a list of like 40 things, and now it's streamlined to like a list of 4 or 5 things, and the committees are being formed. It's kind of like a creationism, it's molding, it's evolving.
That may be where it starts. That may be the place, and it's a good thing. Believe me, I think it's a very good thing. You see, but when you get elected for 5 years and you don't have to report to the people in 5 years, you sometimes lose touch with the people. It's only natural. You know what I mean?
But there's obviously a void.
There's a void.
There's a void.
So if there's any bill that comes before Parliament, before the second reading, the committee in the House is responsible for that bill, has a meeting, open public meeting with the public, who can come in and make suggestions and so forth and so on. And then they go back to the House or to the government in the first instance, and they look at the suggestions and they then determine which will they include in it. The opposition will then have its say as where they think it should go.
I remember, as Erica Wells, I'm sure, does, sitting in the Senate in 1981. Paul Adley, I think, was the leader of the Senate then, or someone. And I remember writing how I just witnessed a complete waste of time. And Mr. Adley berated me for it. He called me up and berated me. I said, I don't care what you berate me for. It's a waste of time. It's a stamp.
Your editor didn't take that out.
He was a Donald Trump.
I said, in fact, I think I wrote a column. I think, in fact, I think it sparked me to write my first column. And I think I said, I just witnessed a complete waste of time. Okay? And the reality is, the average Bahamian, while we are engaged in, BMWs and Samsung TVs and stuff and satellites, that we don't realize that we live in a kingdom. We think we get this thing where we think we have this democracy. Okay, people aren't taking me seriously about this, but this is some serious stuff, Frank. We live in a kingdom, a monarchy. Okay, I am not blaming the monarch.
No.
I don't have time to waste my time on blaming the monarchy. If you hand me the king, keys, I gone.
That's for sure.
Okay, I will take it.
Absolutely.
I don't need anyone who is going to not take the kingdom. Okay, so we live in a kingdom, and the people are subjected to the king. And so this is where we are.
Well,
and until we turn into citizens, we will not have a democracy.
Well, Ed, what you say is absolutely true. But, up to 1990, we couldn't get on the airwaves to criticize
We lived in a worse kingdom.
I remember as an MP, I got 1 minute at Christmas to send a Christmas greeting to my constituents.
Were you able to finish, like, say, Merry Christmas? Did you get muss out? No, listen, we obviously, there are things that have widened, quote unquote, the democracy. But that's fluff.
Yeah.
It's like you live in England under King Henry VIII, and you're allowed to joust or something. I mean, you're not actually in control of anything, right?
See, once you have the population being able to say what they want to say, how they want to say it, and where they want to say it, the only other thing to do is to organize them in some form or fashion that they become that pressure group.
Exactly.
That says, whatever is happening over here, I'm going to know, and I'm going to learn as much as I can about it so I could inform my people.
Right. By the way, Erica Wells, I think I need to bring to your attention, I had a great illusion there when I said joust, because this is what talk shows do. See? This was the thing.
Congratulations.
I'm just trying to tell you that. They have allowed us to joust.
Very good, very good.
Listen, man, Frank, it's always a pleasure. We'll have to have you. Listen, let me tell you, we're in the business. It's going to be fun for us, man. If this kind of stuff going on, I don't even have to think about what's coming on next. Let's turn on the TV.
It works for you.
So I hope you're available to us some more. To give us some of your insight.
I'm enjoying so much my retirement.
Yeah, no, but you're getting paid. I paid you. You volunteer.
You can do both. You can stay in retirement.
Yeah, I'm not going to cause you to double dip.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Listen, Erica, thank you very much for stopping by once again.
Thank you.
We have, I think Rogan's going to be outside. I hope you join us on Thursday. We have, if you're around on Thursday. Oh, okay. So we'll get. So maybe I won't be here either. So anyway, if not, we're going to have Fenton Nemore. He's our guest. We'll talk about BEC and all the stuff that's going on there. Kendrick, thank you, sir.